G'day punters, welcome to the pilot preview show, I should say. We're just going to have a look at a couple of races, one from Sydney, one from Melbourne. We've got Jason Azzopardi, who's kindly offered his time up to walk us through the CF4 in Melbourne. And John, we're going to talk about the Lightfinger Stakes, which does look like a bit of an interesting race, given the presence of the short price favourite Espiona, which has come up around the 8 to 15, 4 to 7 mark with bookmakers. Does come off a trial there, obviously with Nature Strip in it, but the time wasn't anything special as such. So interesting to talk about that. Jason, we'll probably get to you in a moment if you just want to sort of allow us to walk through the race here in Sydney. So John, we've got the Lightfingers there with the short price favourite. Obviously, pretty much most of these are first up. Interesting runner here is Jamea, who's went to the Gold Coast on Magic Millions Day and had that sickly inside watch whereby it got held up for most of the straight. Never really got out of first gear, so it was pretty much a barrier trial. John, you've got to bring that race up now and we can have a look at it. It's coming out of gate 7 there.
Gets the squeeze early, doesn't it?
Got a little squeeze there, goes back to the inside. The pace is but very, very fast pace here. King of Sparta wins the race after being also solidly supported. This day, Jamea was 5 to 1 into 7 to 2 on the day. King of Sparta
back on the inside here in the white.
Exactly. And you really wanted to be sort of on pace and probably coming out a bit wider that day at the Magic Millions. It didn't really suit the inside, so you can see there he's got nowhere to go. It's sort of like watching a storybook as you go to sleep at night. Nightmare on Elm Street.
It just keeps clear. The good thing about every time he sort of clicks it up when it does have a bit of air, it goes quickly and then obviously runs up asses again. So it was ready to go there, I think.
Yeah, it was ready to go and past the post was strong for it to line. So look, I figure it's an interesting runner. From barrier 7, John, it's had the trial there at Warwick Farm 5 days ago. They did sort of ride it up, even though it missed a kick slightly, they did ride it up a little bit and settled a bit closer to Quantico. But the time wasn't anything flash, but the sectionals were decent enough in that race. So you might just bring up that trial. It finishes about a length behind.
It's just a pretty quiet trial.
Yeah, quiet trial on the blue cap there. So you'd figure with the rail out 5 metres, John, on Saturday, which is not sort of it's a bit of an unusual rail position. There's only been 3 meetings there in the last 3 years in the rail 5 metre. Interestingly, the last one was 9th of October last year, where the inside was compromised. Yet it still played as a good 2.1 on our numbers. So we had a situation, obviously, Saturday where after race 4, no one wanted to be near the fence. So the artificial rail became sort of like that 5-6 off. We go out to the 5 metre rail. There's obviously going to be a bit of wear there. So it could be a case of lucky lane 8. So maybe 3 or 4 off, John, on the straight. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's, the best guesstimate that there's a little bit of rain around, which should keep that inside section, a little bit tricky with that wear from last week, which should force them 3, 4, 5 off the inside. And that I can't see it being crazy outside fence or anything like that. You probably want to be up there in the run and just getting off that inside section to get very similar to last week.
Right. Okay. So we've got another couple of interesting runners in the races. 4 moves ahead. That's got the blinkers first time. Nash on board there for John Sargent, who's not really renowned as a first up trainer as such, but this filly has got talent. Blinkers going. It's had the 2 trials leading into this race. What do you think of his chances, John?
Draw is the issue for it. Like Nash is obviously renowned as a bit more of an aggressive rider than most, but I think it's probably, I know Blinkers on looks like a bit of intent. And it's a very weird play, and that's kind of the strange one. It profiles well for this race. It's run well over 1,200 metres. It's sat on speed from a better draw first up last time in, but just a matter of whether it can find a position. I do think it's more a horse that needs that 1,600 metre tempo to really show its best. It's not a real dynamic turn of foot horse, I don't think. So it'd be interesting to see what the Blinkers does to this horse.
Yeah, I think that it trialled in the Blinkers, and I think that it might settle a little bit closer than perhaps what some of us might think. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with the money on it. Zuzarella is a filly up from Melbourne from the Freedman stable that's trialled in Sydney. It's looking to resume in this race. Got a fair bit of talent, I think. So it'll be interesting to see what the market does with it. Jason, you've got an idea about this horse, don't you?
Yeah, look, she's a really nice filly. Won her first 2 starts very, very impressively. She then, ran second at Sandown where they crawled in front. She was a cert beat there, and then SP equal favourite in the Group 1 Guineas there in the 1,000 Guineas. So really strong first prep. Lovely Zoo Star filly, targeting the surround, second up Group 1, which probably all of these are. But signal of intent by the Freedmans to trial her up in Sydney before this first up start. Not sure what she gets from the gate, and she'll be back. But nice filly, but there's a lot of nice fillies in this.
There is. So it'll be an interesting race. Look, for me, obviously, I've got the favourite on top and well on top, but I think the interesting runner in the race that could be a little bit of value might be Jamea, depending on pattern. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out there if it can settle a little bit closer. Yeah, why not? Let's watch its latest trial. I think we only watched the closing stages, didn't we, before?
Yeah, it's just interesting to see. She's not one that likes to get away clean.
Oh, we're talking about SBO now, sorry?
Yeah, this is SBO.
Yeah,
so the
sorry.
$1.65 or whatever it is here.
$1.55 currently, I think.
$1.55.
I'm sure it'll be better odds with Top Sport. And should mention Top Sport, of course, being our sponsor on the show. I'll just have a quick squeeze.
Like you said there, Nature Strip couldn't be under a greater stranglehold. I know that this could easily be overplayed. Her effort hedging it straight against Nature Strip when that's a frightening grip they've got on Nature Strip there, and they said the time was nothing special. Yeah,
so Top Sport did actually bet $1.70 by the looks of it, and they're back into $1.60 now. I think Tabcorp, when I checked a little earlier, was the $1.55 quote. I'll just have a squeeze at that now to see what they are.
Regardless, I think it's one of these early season races where a lot of these horses will not have targeted this race, and I don't think Jamea's targeted as such. I think it definitely targeted the Magic Millions race, but because it basically had no run there, you're treating it as another trial, and it should be just ready to do its absolute best here. It's probably not the best horse in the race, but certainly powerful over 1,200, super fit, and should find the right spot from that gate. You've got to, any luck at all, it's got the turn of foot to get out of trouble, where some of these horses probably want a little bit further, ideally, and maybe vulnerable in that respect too. So I think it's probably got the best turn of foot and the best fitness setup. So it's hard to have Jamea $10 and Espiona $1.60 for mine.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Look, the only other horse in the market, which we actually failed to mention, that's currently around the 6-1 mark is Fangirl. It's got Hugh Bowman there resuming for Chris Waller. Hugh trialled it twice at Rose Hill over 900 metres leading into this run. Did you have an opinion on this horse, John? Did you think it might need...
It's another talented horse, probably been a level below some of the others, but another horse that sort of got out to a mile and really found its best, and not really zipping home in any of those except for the maiden at Goulburn, which you'd expect any sort of class horse to do. So I think she's another one that's probably, better suited second and third up again. So there's not too many that are going to be sharp at 1,200 here. The favourite will be where it gets to in the run, and if you can justify $1.65, the question marks around it, but I'd much rather be with the Kembla horse just on this day, and that's what a lot of these races for mine end up being. Early season group races, especially fillies. But it's a very deep fillies race. It's actually quite exciting.
It is, and the only thing I'd say about Bowman and Waller is that he's not really the absolute go-to jockey for Waller first up on runners. So respect the fact that he's tried it, but it was J-Mac that rode it in both those black type wins, both in Sydney and Melbourne. So he's obviously with the favourite, which he'd be mad not to be, but just interesting all the same. I suppose, Hugh Bowman's a good talent, but not sure about him and Waller first up. But we've seen stranger things happen. But so that's.
I actually think you pretty much identified the value runs. Like 4 moves ahead with the blinkers just adds that extra bit of intent that you want to see sort of first up in a race like this. Jamea, we obviously know a lot about it, and Zuzarella's just a bit of a wild card that it brings totally different form lines to Sydney, and I just do love that they've brought it to Sydney and trolled it up here, and it can race a little bit more forward, even though I doubt that Saturdays it's grand final in any way, shape or form. I think, and they're all sort of 20-1, whereas Fangirl's only $7, and I think it's not having a barrier trial, but I don't think that Saturdays it's grand final.
I'd agree. So let's move on to the CF4 in Melbourne. Jason, why don't you take us away with this?
Thanks, guys. Intriguing first Group 1 of the year in Melbourne, and it's pretty open market. We've got 6 horses under double figures here. So I'll try and give some analysis on all of their chances. I think the key thing here, I think we've got the ratings to win speed map up on screen there, is there's a distinct lack of pace in this race. It's highlighted by a lot of back markers. I expect Lightsaber to cross and go to the lead. Tafane is just drawn inside Behemoth from 8 and 9. And if you go back to the Memsey run on the 28th, Tafane jumped and sat third in the run. She's got enough early speed to take a forward spot here. And Behemoth sat just behind her. So she has got the advantage of being inside Behemoth here, and I expect her to get the prime posse. The other one is Lighthouse from 2. Ben Allen's, she has got enough tactical speed to kick up and sit behind leader here. He'll need to do that with the slow speed on and try and take a position. So that leaves either Tafane or Behemoth potentially outside lead, but I'm expecting a very, very slow pace. I can't see any of the other horses in this race being aggressive from their gates. Important point here is a lot of these horses have met quite a few times in the spring, which gives us some really good form references. Obviously, I'm Thunderstruck was dynamic in the spring and has been a bit of a boom horse, but really important to note that his big runs there were in handicaps with 52 kilos, Golden Eagle aside, but it's nearly a restricted race that race, beating Count de Rupee and Vangelic. So today this prep 59 kilos outside gate, he's going to be last. Stable being pretty open that he's not wound up first up. I think $6 is huge unders. I think he'll start double figures. I think the key here, as I said, is the pace. And with Tafane and Behemoth sitting second and third in the run, they're the clear, absolute clear Group 1 1,400 metre performers. Behemoth has had a number of runs at 1,400 Group 1 at this track and trip. If you go through his forms, bring up my ratings to 1 data here, this track, Caulfield Group 1, he ran 6th in the Rupert Clark, but he had 58 in a handicap, which Sierra Sue won. He won the Memsey 1,400 metre Group 1. He won that back-to-back, and he won the Futurity, I think it was, as well. So he's won 3 1,400 metre Group 1s. He sits on second or third here on a slow pace. He's second up. Also, his ratings peaked. If you have a look at his runs, so last prep he ran at Morpheville in a Group 3 where he ran that protest against Bo Rossa, and then peaked second up. He ran 101. Run the same rating in first up at Morpheville this prep. I expect him to run about 100 and 101 here. And with the slow pace on and Jamie Sparr on, I think she's going to be a great addition for this horse, and I see impossible missing a place. I think the key danger is Tafane. She's jumped out really well up the Flemington Straight in that Masked Crusader jump out. If you look at her prep last prep, which she ran, she had 9 weeks off from Brisbane, went into that Group 1 Memsey behind Behemoth. Preble pulled Williams' pants down. He went round her on the turn. She hit a bit of a flat spot, and if you watch that replay, the last 200, she's eating the line. She then went to the Group 1 Toorak, carried 58 for a mare, gave on Thunderstruck 6 kilos, and you'd nearly say she was unlucky to be beat. It was an enormous run. She's a quality Group 1 horse. She's coming to the end of her career. I could really see this being the target for to get a Group 1 this prep. So I think she'll be ready. I think they're the 2 bets at $6 and $7. I think you can back both of those and you'll have the winner. In terms of the opposition in the market, Sinawan's a favourite, $4. Look, this horse has definitely got a chance.
Currently 440 top odds with Top Sport.
440 with Top Sport. Look, this horse, look, he's a quality horse. Can he win? Yes. I've got him pegged as a horse that really needs a solid pace on. If you look at his big runs in Australia, last start they won the first section. Just looking at those ratings to win data, first section 5 lengths above standard, and the win before that in the Marabi race. And then when he won it at Caulfield in that Group 3, they went 6 above for the first section. I think he's a horse that really needs a solid speed on to bring out his best. I'm not sure how he's going to go on a 6 sprint at weight for age here. Also don't love C. Williams on back markers. I much prefer him on horses up on speed. So I couldn't have him favourite in this based on that. I'd rather be on the proven hardhead Group 1s up on speed. The other one's a Lighthouse. So Lighthouse has made it, had a great first campaign in Australia, ex-US mare, but going through her form, she's won a benchmark 84 against Bermudez. Great win in the Chester Manifold on New Year's Day, listed race, beating looks like Elvis, getting weight off it. And last start ran second in the listed race by an open-minded. It's just not Group 1 form for me. Never ride off that stable, but I can't get her single figures. And the other one, Sierra Sue, she obviously won the Rupert Clark this track and trip in the spring, handicap carrying 52.5. She's jumped out really well. She appears to have gone to the next level, absolutely, last prep. But again, I think she's going to get back in the run and would need to make up quite a few lengths to pass Tefano and Behemoth in the straight. I'm just going to bank on Behemoth second up here with a better fitness, and Tefano just being a higher, better quality mare than Sierra Sue, having the wood on her. So that's how I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it off a slow speed, a bit of a sit sprint, Behemoth and Tefano best placed on map in a really even race and an exciting Group 1 to start the autumn.
Indeed. Very, very good overview there, Jason. Thanks very much for coming on the show today. Jason, you can find him on Twitter. What's your handle, Jason?
Just keep punting.
Great handle. That's what we want to do.
A motto in life. Yeah, beautiful.
Well, we might, depending on the popularity of these segments, punters, do a few more over the next period of time, especially when the bigger races are on. Let us know what you think. If you think there's any improvements that we can make, we're all ears and we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to message John or myself on Twitter. And of course, if you want any assistance with something happening in Melbourne, Jason's your man. You talk to him. So thanks very much, punters. We'll see you next week for the review on Monday.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.